Today we did rotations. So first we started off with this warm-up exercise. We want you to know two things. There's two important keywords that you need to know. Clockwise and counterclockwise. Okay? So clockwise means with the clock. So if you draw a clock, right, its hands move in this direction as the time goes by. Okay? Counterclockwise means counter or against the clock. So if a clock usually goes like this, counterclockwise means it's going to be going in the opposite direction. Okay? So counterclockwise is going to go like this, and clockwise is going to go like this. So let's do an example using the new words we just learned. So here, the question says, rotate point A about point B 45 degrees clockwise. So keyword, about point B means that point B is the center. Whenever we see about point, it means that is the center. And when they say rotate point, they mean they're moving point A about center point B. Now we need to find how many degrees. It says 45 degrees, and the direction. The direction is clockwise. So remember, when we do clockwise motion, we're going in this direction. And the way that you can test this is put the eraser of your pencil on the center point. So if you put your pencil eraser on the center and then rotate your pencil in a clockwise direction, you can see where the angle should open up. Let's say you start here and the angle is supposed to open up to there. You can see which way is clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, so let's get rid of all this extra stuff. Okay. Okay. So we know that center point B is right here. So we need to connect these lines. Here, I'm going to try to draw it as straight as possible, but I can't really draw straight on this thing. Okay. And we need to rotate it 45 degrees clockwise. So in this case, we would use our protractor to find where 45 degrees is. It would be right over here. And then we connect that line, that guideline, to the center. And now, since these lines are radii in an imaginary circle around point B, we need to make sure that the segment of A prime to B, of A prime to B is congruent to the segment of A to B because they are radii in the same circle. So we'll erase this extra part out here. We'll erase all the extra stuff that helped us find the answer. And we'll be left with this as our answer. And let's check our work. If A rotates from A here to A prime here, that is clockwise, right? Yes. Let's try this one. Triangle ABC with coordinates A, B, and C, so let's plot those, is rotated 45 degrees, so 45 degrees clockwise, about the origin. So we plotted our points. And look at the key information in the problem. It says, is rotated 45 degrees clockwise. So which direction is clockwise? It's going to be this way, right? About the origin. So the origin will be our center. It says draw the original and the image figure and compare the coordinates, okay? So when we're trying to rotate a figure, yesterday you learned how to do it with coordinates. Today we're going to learn how to do it with the ruler. Remember when you did translations or reflections, we learned two ways, how to do it with the ruler and how to do it with the coordinates. So today we're going to teach you how to do it with the ruler. So you connect, let's do all these lines in green, okay? So we connect the vertex to the origin, okay? And then we use that line as our radius. And we draw a fake circle in which, and I use that as my radius of a fake circle from the origin to the point. So I draw a circle kind of like this, okay? And then I need to find, using this green line here, the radius, as my base on the protractor, I lined it up so that I can find a 45-degree clockwise angle. So I line this up as my base, and I find that this is going to be 45 degrees. So now I connect that line to the center, and I find the point where the line I made intersects the fake circle, and that becomes A prime. Or let's do it in green. That becomes A prime. Okay? So let's do the same thing to find B prime. We connect B to the center, and that becomes the radius in our fake circle B. Okay? We use that line as the base on our protractor, and we find where a 45-degree angle would be, which would be right there. We connect that line to the origin, and we get our new point, and that becomes B prime. Let's do the same thing for C. We connect C to the origin. That becomes the radius in our new fake circle. We use that line as our guide in order to find a 45-degree angle, which would be right here. Connect that line to the origin. Where that line crosses the fake circle becomes C prime. Oops. Okay. That becomes C prime. So now if we were to connect all the primes, and you would have erased all these guidelines if this was your own problem, but I can't erase them on here without erasing all the work underneath. So I connect all the primes, and I get this figure here. And that does look like this figure here rotated 45 degrees down, doesn't it? Always make sure that your answer makes intuitive sense. So let's do one more. The question says, draw the original and the image figure if triangle XYZ with vertices X, Y, and Z is rotated around counterclockwise 90 degrees around point P -1, 1. Okay, so remember, when this was the figure that we started with, and the origin was the center, all of the radii were based off of connecting a vertex to the center. Well, now, if the center were to move, the circle would move, right? Because now the center's over here, and the circle becomes over here. So that's all we're doing. We're just moving the reference point. We're not changing anything of what we have to do. It's still going to be the same order of things that we do, right? So let's plot these points. Okay, here's our points plotted. And now we're going to plot the center point P. So center point P is going to be negative 1, 1, right here. So we're now rotating the figure around that point. Let's make a better looking P. Okay, around that point. And it says that we're going counterclockwise. So counterclockwise, remember, is this direction here. So let us begin by doing what we always do, connecting a vertex to the center. Let's start with X. Okay. So now this becomes the radius of our fake circle, right? Oops, that doesn't really make sense. Okay. Of our fake circle. Right? So now, I'm going to use this radius as the base on my protractor, and I'm going to find 90 degrees from there on my protractor, which will be somewhere out here. Okay. I'm going to connect that line. Okay. And that makes sense, right? That looks like 90 degrees. Remember, we are going to put X prime at the point where the fake circle intersects our line, and this will become X prime. Now, why did we go up like this instead of going like this, the way that we usually go? Because we're going counterclockwise. So we went up here instead of going the other way. So that becomes X prime right there, that point. Okay? Let's find Y prime. So we are going to connect Y to center point P, and then we use that as our baseline in order to make a 90-degree angle, which would be right up here. So we connect our fake circle to the line here, and we name the point where they intersect as Y prime. Now let's do the same thing to find X prime. To find Z prime. So we connect Z to the center point. We make our fake circle, right? We want to find the point using line PZ as our baseline, where this would form a 90-degree angle, and it would be right here. And the point where they intersect is the prime. So let's retrace our old figure, just because it got a lot of lines on it. This is the old figure, right? And then let's trace our new figure. We have X prime here, connecting to Z prime. X prime connecting to Y prime. Z prime connecting to Y prime. Now think about it. Does this look like a shape that was rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees? Yeah, it does, right? Because it's heading in the opposite direction of clockwise, and it's gone about 90 degrees. So we finished the problem.